Greetings, and welcome back to Brick and Lantern. Thank you so much for the support we saw in the last couple of videos. I'm really enjoying what's coming together with the community, and to celebrate that, I thought we'd take a departure from the castle genre and build a different minifigure vignette today. So this time we're going to be tackling a genre of fiction that is near and dear to my heart, the cyberpunk genre, led by Cyberpunk 2077 right now, and Johnny Silverhand, the anarchic rock star that takes place in the game and fiction of the universe. So my plan is to build a little model of some kind of Arasaka, which is one of the big corporate forces in the universe, one of their little outposts, and put Johnny making a statement against it in the most explosive way possible. Of course, Arasaka means a lot of black and red, and we're going to try to get some verticality to really capture the Night City cramped cyberpunk landscape. So the first thing we're going to do is take these Technic pins and bricks with the holes in them, and essentially angle these straight up. These are going to be the uprights we're using to frame the rest of the build around. I was very lucky I had these elements in red and enough pieces in black to very much mimic the color scheme of the evil corporation. Cyberpunk fiction is probably one of my second favorite genre, of course, behind fantasy, in case you weren't aware. And I think that taking on this universe, especially with all of the Lego builds I've seen from it, I've got a very long lineage to live up to here. Lots of striking colors and hopefully some verticality in the build we'll be seeing here. But the first things first is just getting that basic layout of the structure, the upright structure. This part's a little difficult because these Technic bricks that are on top, kind of facing up, are not fully flush with the rest of the bricks. So you almost have to raise them up separately. And it became a little bit of a challenge early on to just get them in the way that I wanted them. Especially, I'm trying to put a top on this tower, so I'm thinking, well, how do we do that and get it to look convincing? So a lot of this early part is just getting the plates on the front and thinking through as we're putting it together how exactly this is going to look, which tends to be how I build things anyway, is I like to go in with an idea but not quite clear on 100% how it's going to look. Yeah, so we're going to come back to this and start to get the top platform on. The top platform is going to serve as the roof. It's also going to serve as a little relay station for some kind of communications relay they've got back there, and also we're going to have some fun details on the front of the wall that's coming together with those plates. I fell into this technique not too long ago of putting plates on things to make them look bigger and fill them out quickly. It's easier for me to do that than to go through with bricks and manually add everything, especially when we're looking at these vignettes and we are trying to limit our pieces down as much as possible. We're going to take these Technic holes on the side and put another plate on there just to help kind of cover up the holes. Last thing you want is exposed holes on your build. Luckily, these black 1x plates are really coming in handy. I haven't had to make any bricklink orders yet for these vignettes. I've been very much scrapping in together out of the parts I have, though that has changed. I made a bricklink order for a build that I'm very excited about, and hopefully they'll start to come in, the parts will soon, because I really want to build this other sci-fi project. So here's the platform on the top of the tower now. And again, we've run into a gap between where the areas are filled in. So we don't want a nice gap there, so what I've done is I've taken some red bricks and have started to add some texture in the back and also cover up that hole so that nothing is peeking through the model later on. This red and black color scheme is probably one of my favorite parts of the fictional corporation. They have a very menacing style. We got a very cool effect on the back there because those bricks are kind of descending into the wall. They're kind of going backward. You get a little bit of texture. Now we're going to add a little front detail. If you're familiar with Cyberpunk, you're familiar with the property, and especially the corporation, you know they have that red and black bonsai tree logo. And I'm trying to approximate it in my own little way with some of these rose pieces and some rose plate 1x1s and a 1x3 to get just the front design and try to capture that. So of course, I've played the game, I've read the books, I really, really love this genre of fiction and how hard up everyone is, and I think it really speaks to where we are right now, that it's making such a resurgence. But it's probably one of my favorite just things happening in the world right now, and I really like hoping that new DLC that's coming out is going to be good. I'm hoping that we're going to get some more out of the Cyberpunk universe. Obviously, Edge Runners came out not too long ago, that 10-episode anime, and I was completely floored by that. So I figured it would be good to pay tribute to that. So now the front logo is on, and we're going to do some more detailing on the front. I didn't think it would be good to just leave it with a plain black plate, so I figured why not add a little bit of texture to this front wall. These slope pieces, I was digging through to pick out the parts for this build, and these slope pieces were throwing themselves onto me, so I figured if I've got them, I might as well use as many as I can, and I think that it's very interesting how they're coming together, and how the slopes and the flat bricks are playing with each other in this way. There's another 1x8 black slope, and that will disguise our base and allow the front structure to go onto the base. Kind of tucked away in this little cyberpunk street here and ready to look as imposing as can be. I really love looking at the footage back at that top section of just how chunky it is, but also how varied the architecture is and how it kind of comes in and out. I think it's a very nice piece, especially when you look at the top there. And the Arasaka logo, I wish I could have gotten it closer together. I will think about next time a better design for that going forward, especially if we want to expand this out like we did the last vignette. If we want to start expanding from this Arasaka little tower or little platform to some other areas of Cyberpunk City, perhaps a bar or some kind of night market. Who knows? The sky is really the limit with this stuff, and I'm hoping that over time we can start compounding these vignettes into more modulars. Here's a little security turret that I thought would look nice on the wall. Obviously, Arasaka Military Arms Corporation from Cyberpunk, and they do not like trespassers, so they've set up a nice turret that will shred anyone that gets too close. And that's going to go right on the side there. Start to put some more details on the side, start to put more details on the top. Got a little bit of blank space left on the base there, so start fiddling around with some kind of overhang in blue. Had a lot of those trans blue elements, and I thought that Cyberpunk cities are so dense and neon is such a big motif that it only made sense that we start working with the cityscape. And the best way to do that, I'm trying to kind of use a headlight brick to attach it, but later on, as we'll see, I settle on a different solution. The one thing that's challenging about the Cyberpunk build, in my mind, especially looking at other people's mocks, is the density that they capture in the city. That's the one thing where I am very challenged with. Here is our rebel, of course on the rebel path here, Johnny Silverhand. I built this minifigure at the Lego store a couple of years ago, kind of held on to it. I've been trying to get one of the Speed Champions Porsches to put him in and really try to samurai that out a little bit. But this time, I think he's going to be burning his way down the rebel path here with some particularly heavy implements of destruction here. A pistol and looks like a rocket launcher he's got there. Back to the build. I've decided I'm going to settle on an illegal building technique to put that plate piece over there, that curved plate. So, very simple illegal build technique, just jammed it between the gap in the two studs. Very simple stuff. And we're going to go back up to the tower. I'm adding a relay dish just to put a little more texture on top and give us a target to shoot at. I thought the top of the tower looked a little bland, so we're going to go back and fix that up a little bit. Relay dishes, some of my favorite things to build on Lego because you can really vary up the design, and I used that Technic rod along with a couple other things. So initially I thought we were going to do a very flat roof for the Arasaka Tower and be able to put the radar dish on there. And then I realized it just wasn't enough for me. So we were going back, reverting to a sloped roof design that will give it a little more depth again at the top, because these builds have to be dense, they have to be small. So of course, the easiest thing to do is to add on the top, especially if we're talking about verticality, which is a big focus for me right now. I'm varying up the roof design, and I realized that I've left exposed studs on the side, so if you look at it, you'll see a blank space. That's not good. We're gonna go back, change up the slope design a little bit, and just make sure that we've got what we need. I don't know where I got all these red slopes from. So we shift it around. We've got our relay tower on there, and we've also got a little bit of a sloped roof. It's time to put the minifigure on here. So instead of putting him down on the street level, I thought, what's more cyberpunk than Johnny Silverhand diving off of a roof and coming down. This was the image I had, was him jumping off of a roof, falling through the air, and I think with those two translucent bricks, we really get that effect going, and I think it looks very nice. The only thing that I was having a hard time with is positioning his accessories to actually be aiming at where he's supposed to be shooting them. And there he is, diving off the side of the building, rocket launcher in hand, ready to tear the place up, as he is a very radical anti-Arasaka figure in the Cyberpunk universe and the essential rebel. And now, he's shooting his pistol at something. There we go. I got a Ghost Rider versus Spider-Man set. I believe it's the Ghost Rider's muscle car. And I've been using those flame exhaust pieces ever since for discharge, various weapons, etc. Because I think it's similar to the missiles, adds a nice piece of texture to firing a weapon. Now we're back down here on the street, starting to add in a little bit more detail. I just wanted to add some grimy, chunky bits. I got a pile of trash over there back under the underpass that I'm just working on. Because again, if we're talking about density, I don't want to put another figure in this vignette, but I definitely wanted to get some extra detail in there to really emphasize that this place is not clean, it's dirty, and even though the tower platform is taking up most of the build, I still think there's room for a little bit extra detail. And one of these things, as we talked about earlier, was neon. How do we get more neon into this build? And that was the challenge, is jamming just a little bit more neon in. And as you'll see, this 1x2 neon green plate, that's the ticket right there. Just a little extra neon in the build makes the whole world go round, really. I mean, Cyberpunk, you think about neon, and I think that we've adequately captured the feeling of being an edge runner in the Cyberpunk universe, striking out against Arasaka in this build. But let me know what you think, and let me know, of course, if there's any builds you want to see. I'm trying to fan out a little bit. But thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this process like I did. Hopefully this inspires you. And if you feel so inclined, leave a comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. We just got a lot of viewers on the last video, but I figured it'd be a good idea to let you know that you should subscribe. But take care, have a great night, and stay safe. We'll see you next time.